How's it going, YouTube? Excuse me. Well, I figured it's been about 3 weeks since I posted a video. But it's easy for me to do it when I get off night shift. Because it's quiet. Not a lot of cars running back and forth. Kids are all asleep. Random dog barking. So, anyway, that's why it's been a little bit. So, where were we at? 1979, 1980. So I talked about getting attacked by a German Shepherd, living in the yellow house in Parkland, Washington. I was corrected on that because I couldn't remember the name of the city we lived in. We lived in Parkland, Washington. It's a suburb of Tacoma. So, anyway, my dad was still slinging auto parts as a traveling salesman. And his boss had a nice big cabin cruiser. And I can't remember if we spent the night over at their house or just got there real early. But it was just my dad, his boss, his two boys, and me. And it was like before dawn we left out to go put the boat in the water and go fishing. And what I remember about that is the fact that when we left, since all they had was a single cab pickup, us boys got in the boat and rode in the boat down to the marina, which was really cool. We get out there, get the boat in the water and everything, we're fishing. And then, I guess it was about 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning. Excuse me again. We go back to port and pick up the women. My mom, my sister, I think he had a daughter too, and his wife. And it wasn't real stormy that day. I remember it was a pretty nice day. Water wasn't too rough. And like I said, we'd all been out there all morning fishing. And I got to drive the boat. I was having a big old time, you know. Remember, this is 80, so I'm like 7. So, I was having a good old time. So anyway, we get them on the boat and we go back out. Well, we weren't 10 feet away from the pier when my sister starts puking off the side of the boat, and she was sick the whole time. All day long she was sick. I actually kind of felt bad for her because she was so sick. So anyway, we're sitting there and we're fishing, and I reel mine in, and Fishy got the bait off my hook. And Dad had, my dad was a big fisherman, or I should say is. He has really nice graphite pole and really expensive reel, and he's real proud of it. And he takes it, on the boats you got the anchors for your poles. You put them in there and turn them and they lock. Well, I asked him to bait my hook for me, and he just reached over and set his pole down, didn't lock it in. He turns around and starts baiting my hook, and that pole took off out of that thing and went flying. It went about 15 feet out in the water and disappeared. Something big hit it and took the pole and was gone with it. I don't think Dad had a good day the rest of the day, because that was probably, back in the day, it was probably a 3 $300-400 rig he had set up, probably more. And, you know, a graphite pole and that nice reel. I couldn't tell you what kind of reel it was. As you can tell, I'm not really big a fisherman. I like to beat the water every once in a while and catch fish, but I don't like to stand out there and fish all day. It gets boring to me. If I'm catching, it's fun, but if I'm just sitting there beating the water, no fish are biting, I can find other shit to do. I can, but anyway, so that was the big boat trip. It was a very fond memory for me. I'm sure for my sister it's not a very fond memory for her because she was sick. She's even green. So after that trip, my next big memory from Tacoma was I think it was once a month. It might have been every other Sunday, I can't remember. But it was in May, in 1980, in Washington State. Anybody know what happened on a Sunday in 1980 in Washington State? We didn't know until we got to Two River Bridge. And we're driving down through there, you know, cruising on the highway. All of a sudden we get to Two River Bridge and they got the bridge blocked off on Highway 5, I-5. So, and I mean, it's like cops are over the road, ain't nobody going nowhere. And so Dad gets out and he starts asking around what's going on. And the mountain erupted. We didn't know. Mount St. Helens blew up. We had no idea. My parents might have heard something on the news or something that was coming, but for one, I never knew that it was going to blow up. But we were out there for a while, and there was a little store just right off the interstate. I remember the roof of it was just sticking up above the interstate, and you could see where it said food, drinks, and gas and stuff. You know, little signs. Remember that. And I remember people pulled out a Frisbee, and on the northbound lanes, they were out there on the freeway playing Frisbee because they kept telling us that they were going to open the bridge, but they weren't sure when. So we're there for a while. I can't tell you how long we were there, but it was hours. But all of a sudden, the police radios start lighting up and everybody starts freaking out. I don't know what's going on, but they start saying, I start hearing people talk about there's a car on the bridge. There's a car on the bridge. And, you know, with the mudslides and the excess water and stuff from the eruption, they didn't want anybody on the bridge because they're worried it was going to get swept away. So anyway, they're saying there's a car on the bridge, there's a car on the bridge. So we're waiting, and the way, it was kind of a downhill thing and turn, and you really couldn't see the bridge where they had it stopped. But all of a sudden, this little brown Honda Civic, it was probably brand new at the time. It was a late 70s Civic. Little brown thing, little two-door hatchback. But here this little Civic comes. Everybody starts cheering and waving at the guy, and the guy, he's oblivious what's going on. I can remember the look on his face because I was standing up there by the Jersey barrier when he went by. And he's just looking at everybody, just kind of waving like, what the hell's going on? I'm just driving here. But yeah, he got a full, almost ticker tape parade coming across that bridge from everybody. And he went on, then it was a little bit later. My dad got tired of waiting, so cops let us go down to the exit that was just right there, just past where they had it blocked off. We turned around and went back home to Tacoma. And then probably, it was probably June, it was probably after school. We went down to see my Aunt Carolyn because they were talking about all the ash and devastation and stuff, and there was still ash all over the ground. It looked like black snow. There was so much of it. I remember it was on everything. We had to wear little masks, and my mom's even still got some pickle jars full of ash. You know, and when me and Heather were up there last year, we went up and seen, you know, showed her the mountain and everything, and little visitor center. They were charging like $15 an ounce for this ash, in these little bitty vials. Heck, I could probably retire from the amount of ash that my mom's got sitting up in her closet. If she still has it, I don't know if she still has it or not, but yeah, I mean, she's got just, last I remember, probably 10, 15 full jars of, pickle jars full of ash from Mount St. Helens. I remember the media and showing everything, and probably a couple years later, I remember they had finally opened it up, and I went up there with my Aunt Carol and Uncle John. I think a couple other people were with us. We drove around up through there and kind of looked at the devastation and stuff. It was pretty wild. It was, I mean, trees laid down, and looked like, you know, like they say, it looked like a bomb went off. But I don't remember like seeing the mushroom cloud or anything like that. You know, granted, we were pretty far north in comparison. But yeah, that's one of the things I remember from a kid when Mount St. Helens blew up. That's been a million years ago. That was May 18th, 1980. I was there. Anyway. So that's all the stories I have for tonight. Or this morning, whatever you want to call it. I'll do another one tomorrow, and see where we getting to. Getting closer and closer to the teenage years. Those will be some interesting stories, and I got a million of those. And some of them are going to be, they'll probably be PG, which means parents, get the hell out of here because you don't need to hear this shit. So anyway, y'all have a good day, and I'm going to go in here and get some sleep. Night shift's a pain in the ass.